I love it. We're back.
That's what we're here to do. We're here to ignite the spark here in Meade County, Kentucky, on Kentucky Talks with Mark and Steve.
Yeah. As exciting as we can be. It sounded pretty good.
I'm throwing that out there for Steve, guys. We're having a little fun here in the studio this afternoon. So, hey,
it's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday.
Hump day.
It's time for us to get over the hump and get on down to the weekend.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about doing these on Wednesdays versus Friday.
This is kind of back to where we started. If you remember, we were doing it on Wednesday, and we moved it around because of schedules and things, and we've made the decision. This is the day that we're going to do it. We might have to move it an hour here or there, but we're going to be here
at 3. You can find us also on Spotify too. So, just interesting news. Today we're going to kind of go over a lot of the topics that are covering top news in Kentucky today. I do want to get into our first topic today. I want to talk about all the money. Money.
Show me the money.
So you saw that the winning Powerball ticket did not.
That's right.
There were 3 winning Powerball tickets sold in Kentucky, but it was not the jackpot.
Big one. I mean, they were big, but no jackpots. There was at least one $1 million winner. Yeah. I think there was a $50,000 winner. I don't know what the other one was, but the $1 million winner for those out there are you match the 5 white balls, but not the Powerball.
Yeah.
And don't have the power plays. So
hold on, let me see. I got mine here. Wait a minute. 3, 18, 22. Nope, that's not it. Nope. Let's see. But it was 3, 18, 22, 27, 33, and the Powerball was 17. I think 2 of the tickets were out of Lexington and Lexington. One was at EG America. So they get if you buy a Powerball ticket, the store that you bought it from gets a
bonus.
They get a bonus.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the amount is. We should look into that one day just for the giggles of it.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a huge amount, but it's definitely worth it to the store to sell lottery tickets. So
yeah. No, and of course, you get that picture taken and you come back. This will be life-changing because it's supposed to go up.
I'm not a lawyer, but I've been watching some videos the last few days about some different things, and I saw one. I saw an interesting episode of a podcast. I'm not sure what the name of the podcast is, but Dave Ramsey, the financial guy, was on there. An interesting little thing is like this guy called in and said, he won he had won $22 million jackpot. Well, his part of it was $22 million with him and his coworkers,
right?
And he decided not to tell anybody. He and his wife collected the money. They haven't even told their teenage kids. They have 2 teenage kids.
They probably don't want to change their lifestyle.
They didn't tell anybody. They arranged it so that nobody in their family knows this. And he's still working and such. And it was just an interesting conversation because it sounded like he was doing everything right. He didn't tell his kids. He didn't tell his kids. He said he didn't want his kids to grow up to be waiters, waiting on mom and dad to die. And I was like, that's and so he's like, I want them to decide what they want to be, where they want to go. Before we reveal to them, hey, we've got some finances to help you get there. And so I thought that was very interesting, very down to earth, and a great way. That's the type of thinking that probably allows you to maintain life, long living life after something like that happens. And
I think for me, I would want to do the same thing. I mean, there'd be some excitement.
Gosh, it would be so hard. That would take some discipline not to say to your mom and dad, hey, guess what?
I would probably set up, before I'd even announce that the ticket was a winning ticket, I'd probably be calling some folks and setting up a trust and some other things.
That's you and I have talked about that before.
But the thing is, I would want to have the same so that I could keep doing what I'm doing without that obtuseness of having all the money, but I would also be doing things for our community that,
Yeah, that's the thing.
I would be able to just do it. They wouldn't have to know where it came from or how it came about. It just happened, and the needs are fulfilled in our community.
I agree, and I don't want anybody to know it was me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're on here, but this is not happening.
Yeah.
We don't even regularly play the lottery or anything like that. It's
I'm going to spend $2 on a billion, on a chance at a billion.
It's 1.4 billion.
Well, it'll probably change by tonight.
Well, it already changed. It was actually 1.3. It was 1.3 after the drawing on Monday. With the national ticket sales came in, that kicked it up another $100 million. So it's 1.4 now.
Yeah.
And so if I think a lot of people already know that out there. That anybody that plays the lottery probably knows that. But that there's the lottery has a formula for calculating the next prize. It starts down. Does it start at? I think it starts at 40. I think is where it starts. They haven't had a winning ticket since March, I think, or May.
Wow.
I think it's March. Let me see. I have it here.
And I think it's great because all those funds for the lottery go straight into the educational fund. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the way they got Kentucky to support a lottery. Kentucky people, folks, because it had to go through referendum back in the 80s.
Yep.
I think it was late 80s, early 90s.
Well, with this kind of money, why do we pay school tax? No, I'm just kidding. But I'm ching. That's my plug. Would you take the full amount, or the cash up front, or would you make them pay it out over 20 years?
I've gone back and forth on this. I used to say I would take the full amount and be able to, that way I have access. At the same time, there's some pros and cons. So the pros are, I'm paying a known tax rate now on the full amount. I get it. I get my money. I can now take that money and
you get half of it.
You basically, you get. They did the numbers after taxes. It's like $360 million is what you would actually take home out of this if you paid the cash out. The question I have is, how does it work if I win the lottery and I do a 20-year payments? That's $70 million a year. Then you're paying your taxes every year. So the uncontrollable is your taxes could go up or you could go down. So Kentucky, for instance, is getting rid of income tax, right? So they're trying to eliminate that. So right now, if I paid 365, or if I paid on 300, or it'd be about almost $600 million. You'd get about 46% of that in taxes. But my taxes would go down a little bit if Kentucky gets rid of the income tax, right? So there's a
well, you're still going to pay. But I would rather put into invest it.
I get that, over. And that's the other side of it is there's pros and cons on both of those things. If I take that money, I can still build my wealth over time at $70 million a year. You're going to get about 50-ish million a year out after taxes, and or maybe a little less. But still, you're going to be able to build that wealth over time. And if you make mistakes, you're not making mistakes on a lot of the whole amount. You're making mistakes on a part of the amount, on 1/20th. And so you still set up your trusts. You still go about trying to do things the way you would want to do them. First of all, I am not endorsing going out and playing the lottery.
Nope.
Right. So
but it's
for you all out there,
no, it's interesting.
But it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I get $1.3 billion. It's the 5th largest jackpot since
May 31st was the last win. Yeah. May 31st in California. I've been doing an interesting little monitoring and on using like ChatGPT to do some analysis and things, and it's interesting. It's come up with sets of numbers and things that would that could possibly come up and things, and done analysis on things like, hey, when a certain Powerball comes up, what number clusters tend to follow that, using number pairs and number triplets.
Yeah.
Doing that kind of thing, and it's kind of fun. It's just I'm an analysis guy. I was sitting there one day and I said, "Hey, I wonder what that would look like." And it came up with good sets of numbers, and it says there's certain clusters that do tend to, but you're like 42% of the time when this number comes up, this number comes up.
You still got to put them all together.
You still got to put them all together, and So it was interesting to, ChatGPT would do that. But
I wonder if ChatGPT would tell us what cluster of numbers have never been called yet.
That was the first thing I did is I asked it for what numbers would you suggest? Mm-hmm. And then I said, have these numbers ever come up again before? And out of the sets that they gave, one number set had come up. Okay. And the analysis is set up on the likelihood of them coming up over the next 52 or the next 52 weeks. Right. So 3 draws a week. So 156 drawings. That's how I set it up. I was just again playing with numbers.
Yeah. So did you hear about a teen at a Kentucky juvenile run by the Kentucky Juvenile Justice that has actually come up missing? It's been missing since July, and they just reported it last week. Did you hear about that?
I had not heard about that. That's a new. So missing teen.
That's a missing teen. His name was Devon. He was last seen at a Wendy's on Fort Campbell Boulevard, July 14th. So you got to keep in mind, this kid was under the custody of the juvenile justice system. Let me see. All right. He's been missing from the facility operated by the Kentucky Department of Juvenile Justice for more than a month. Now, I don't know whether that's like a halfway house or that was an actual detainment facility or whatever, but the kid's, it's Devon, I'm going to screw this up, but it's Fallis, Fallis. He's 15. He's been missing from, it was a day treatment center. Oh, so that meant he went home in the evenings, but he was at this place there in the day.
Right.
But like no one reported his absence until August the 27th.
That is just
right.
That's an odd. I mean, that's.
Could you imagine? Okay, JJ Scarborough's got and JJ, don't take this the wrong way, but if that was a facility in Brandenburg and it was the Meade County Jail and they were missing a guy for 2 months, man, that would go like ballistic for that.
Yeah. I mean,
and I know that likelihood is not going to happen. They run a tight ship over there as far as prisoner procedures and all that other stuff with all the cameras. I think there was JJ's done walkthroughs and shown people how tight it is over there. But could you imagine, what this facility is probably going through right now because of this news that's out?
Yeah. If somebody just gets contraband and you see, what they go through, right? I mean, there's all the checks and balances, but if somebody goes missing, I mean, was he at the facility when he went missing, or was he? Because if it's a day,
they're investigating it right now. But the whole point is that he's been missing since this date. Supposedly supposed to be a part of this transaction.
I mean, it brings up tons of questions, about their processes and procedures. If it happened at the facility, if it happened outside the facility, you would think that if this was a court-ordered thing, a court-ordered, detention of or what have you, that it would come up a lot sooner. That hey, this person's missing from this person hasn't been there. You would think it would day one. Somebody's calling to say, "Hey, is he home and in bed and sick or something?"
So here's the thing too, and to credit it's a Christian. It's in Christian County, but it's Christian County Day Treatment Center, and it is a day treatment center. So it offers a variety of support services to juveniles in their programs. So you've probably got a troubled 15-year-old, right? Is in a program and he's included in a group or something. There's just all kinds of things that probably will come out of it. I think that they'll probably come down to this, and I say this all the time. I think that our governmental programs and workers are understaffed and overworked.
Yeah.
So having something like this fall through the cracks, it's no different than I'd say are probably problems with immigration. People slip through the cracks, and then they're all over the planet, Earth or planet America, and you can't find them anymore.
But this is, I mean? Yeah, I
so
I agree with you.
He's probably disappeared because of some contact, scooped him up, got him out of that situation because it's a day camp.
Yeah, I mean that it's quite possible. Who knows? But the thing is that when you start as a society, when we say, hey, governor or government, Kentucky government or local government or federal government, and you start taking on these roles, and you start taking on responsibility for people's behaviors and things, and you try to change their behaviors. When you take that on, when anyone takes that on, whether it's a government or a private company or a private organization, you're taking on a task that you're already. It's one of the most impossible things to do long term. People will fool their way through those things. Oh yeah, I'm better. Just to get out. A saying that I heard when I was young that went like this. It says, you can't change someone's attitude. You cannot change a person's attitude. You can only change their outlook.
Yeah.
If you can change someone's outlook, then that in turn affects their attitude about life and about things. So you have to let people see a positive future, a positive outcome, or outlook, and then their attitude will instantly change. Obviously, there's cases where you have homicidal maniacs and things that their outlook has got a dark twist to it that you really can't affect from the outside because they're not really letting you in to their circle. That's the big thing when you get into those type of people, those type of, and I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anything, but if you're trying to affect somebody who won't let you in, mentally, spiritually, as a friend, there's almost nothing you can do for those people, and those are the people that ultimately you end up having to lock up because society can't reach them. But in these cases, whenever a government takes on that responsibility, it's one of the hardest things to do. It ends up costing us tons of money, and money follows money. Money follows money because now we're in, and now when we realize how hard it is and how much it's going to cost to really get there, if we could just get ourselves back to a Christian attitude in this country. And
I'm glad you said that because it's going to be a lead into our next story.
So. Because the fact that we have lost our Christian way and lost Christ, a lot of these things are a lot of the drug addiction and alcoholism and things like that are really about people reaching out for God. They're they don't have God in their life, or they don't have enough of God in their life, or they don't trust what they've heard about God, and that means they need to. That's where loving people comes in. You have to love people through things. You've ever heard that? You can't just regulate. You have to, people make mistakes. You love them through the mistakes. They make another mistake. Then you start thinking about regulate. And I think that, but if we could invest as a people, not a government, not but as a people in our society, in each other, in loving each other and helping them see a future without drugs, alcohol, and show them that, be that Christian person to reach out and introduce them to God and Jesus so that they know what that means. I mean, it's more than just, hey, this is a pamphlet, go read this and you're going to be great. It's how can I invest in you? How can I invest my life and my love and in you as a person and be your friend and mentor you through something.
So you don't live this way. Yep. God doesn't mean for you to live this way.
Giving the homeless a house does not make them less homeless.
Nope.
It just gives them a place to sleep in the moment.
That's right.
So.
I will give a plug out. Sierra's House does a great job.
Absolutely.
Of doing exactly that. And they've got those folks there, and then there's drug recovery here in Meade County, Kentucky, over at the Old Dollhouse, which is the
Adult and Teen Challenge.
Teen Challenge.
And both of those are Christian based, church based. Christian based. They follow the principle of loving people. Not everybody can take to it. One of those is mandated, and the other one is voluntary. So depends on it. We're covering two different aspects of the same
Sure.
problem.
One's
But
getting further ahead of it than after it, but yeah.
yeah,
getcha.
It's still both are reactionary.
So
They're not.
Yeah, you were talking about education and Christian values. So Kentucky, did you know that Kentucky could lose 1.4 million in education funding
I've
from
heard
the
that,
federal
yeah.
government for references to gender ideology? And interesting though is that where did it go? It's Kentucky is one among 46 states and territories told to remove all references of gender ideology. So it's interesting in this conversation because I want you to think about this for a second. 46 states across the United States are now acting where they're confused about gender ideology. That's where we've come to because everybody said how we thought a man is a man and a woman is a woman is wrong. And we all converted to think something differently. Now we've got somebody that obviously following, the science, which is a male is a male, a female is female. And biblically, it also states the same thing. We could go into all of that, but I'm not going to debate what the right is. But now we've got the government that's saying, don't do that. And we're all going to react and get our funding back. It happened the same way before when we tried to convince them and you would get your funding held. Well, now we're holding your funding if you don't go back to being boys' bathrooms, girl bathrooms, and all that other stuff. Essentially, that's the nutshell. But
I mean, that does tie right into what we were talking about because a lot of that is, again, people searching for God in their life and not necessarily, and I don't want to.
Or they're searching for
they're searching
for
some
justification.
Everybody's searching for something, right? We as Christians believe that you're searching for God, right? And that those people who are lost are searching for God, and they're reaching out in other ways in order to do that. And that's why it angers them so much when Christians, I mean, nothing angers a non-Christian in a situation more than a Christian who just loves them.
Yeah.
Because it makes them, non-Christians don't like to be around Christians because, especially a Christian who's, it's amazing because it doesn't seem like it bothers them to be around Christians who are imposing their will on them, but when they encounter a Christian who's just loving them and trying to work through things and as being an example to them, it tends to make them feel guilty about their own thoughts and their own methods of things. And that's the Spirit, in my opinion, that's the Spirit moving into people and working on them where they are, and it becomes hard for them to take it because it's not really physically hurting them, but it's spiritually hurting them, and to me that's that's a pain that all of us have to go through that type of pain whenever we're coming out of some sort of sinful situation into a more righteous situation. I don't know how this became I don't know that. I guess the Spirit was just talking to me to talk about this today.
Well, I mean, hey, I'm not opposed. Jesus is the way, man. So my thoughts are simple, right? Just take a step back if you're listening. Just take a step back for a second. Okay. We got to where we are over many years to accommodate those who can't figure it out, right? We were restricted and prohibited for sharing our Christian values and the school place. There's parents, you got cycles of parents and everything else. We've got Z-Gen, you got the boomers still, they're kicking it. I love my boomers. I got uncles and aunts, and they're all boomers. And I work with boomers. It's all great. I love my boomers.
We're just outside of the boomer. We are very early in Gen X.
Oh, we are totally Gen X.
But we are early in Gen X.
We
I
are.
mean, 1962 is basically the I think that's the acknowledged cutoff between boomers and so we're 7-8 years into Gen X. So.
Anyway, but we grew up with Atari Pong and Commodore 64. We've been part of every change in technology all along the way. We've also
and computer technology probably, but not technology. Technology goes back to the beginning of time.
I totally don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
just good point.
Yeah, I'm just saying. You know,
Digital
technology
there you
is
go. Thank
we
you.
have seen it all basically.
The channel,
up to
3
now.
channels on a television set in black and white, and don't let it fall off the TV
To
tray.
1,000 channels and endless amount of content on Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff is.
But anyway, my point is that
Could you imagine what it would have been like when we were kids if that was a thing? If Facebook and or YouTube, I don't care much for Facebook anymore, but YouTube, if that was the educational capabilities of YouTube are just insane. I mean, a lot of people don't like YouTube because of the other videos it shows, but if you get into it and look at just for the educational purposes, you can find out how to do anything on YouTube. Somebody's making a video about it.
Well, Liam learned about every kind of dinosaur that's ever been made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks that spend a lot of time creating very good content. There's also bad actors. That's why parents need to be involved. But back to my
must
male,
be safe. Yes, must keep them safe.
back to my male and female point, though. It took time to get to this point where we've all said, why are we doing this? Now we're saying it, and now we're going back to what was. We've seen cyclics occur through all generations is what I'm basically trying to throw out. So what was once will be again. You see it now. Our Z generations love the eclectic. They like touching records again. They like the cassette tape. They like the nostalgia of some of what we had. My own niece came into town and she's using a flip phone, and that's fantastic because they don't want to be consumed by all the technology. And I get it because I'm overwhelmed by it. I get every day there's 5 different platforms I've got to go to look at, and it's a lot. And I honestly just wish I could just plug it in and then, do it, have my brain working. But we can only function so much.
Yep.
So it's interesting what they're going to do. I think it won't take long. We'll change. Kentucky will change. The education system in Kentucky will probably modify, or otherwise they'll just say bye-bye to the $1.4 million, and you'll just depend on lottery tickets to keep the schools going. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that that $1.4 million, really in the grand scheme of things, it's not a ton of money.
Nope.
When you're splitting it up amongst all 120 school districts plus.
It's a check.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
a check. It's like it's a check, as in like hockey check.
And so it's like and only certain school systems are actually dealing with this.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it turns out, but I think that they will conform ultimately because in school the thing is that you have to think about this. Did people just become this, or did school teach this to people? Did society create an experiment to see how far a ride they can get people to go on one subject or another? And that goes for both liberal and conservative things, right? It's we can get pushed as conservatives. We can get pushed further and further to the right with some of this. And at the same time, the left is pushing more or further and further to the left.
Right.
Which is why the Republican Party has grown so immensely under since Donald Trump took over or became president the first time, is because people that were left in the middle, that were left behind by these sides that were pushing further and further out.
Right.
Came back to a middle ground, and they said, "Oh, well, here's somebody we can." That Donald Trump is showing us, hey, the middle has a home over here, and it can be heard, and that's why you've had the Tulsi Gabbards and the many others that have come over to the Republican Party, Elon Musk and them, because they can feel that they can be expressive. We are the bastions of free speech.
Yeah.
50 years ago when I was a kid, the Republican Party was probably not considered a free speech. Really, truly, I don't think either party was considered a free speech bastion back in the 60s and 70s. I think they were really rebelling against everybody and looking for that middle ground. And they thought they found that in the Democratic Party for 40 years, but that nothing ever changed. And so now they've moved over to the Republican Party, where freedom is we can have freedoms, and it's a little bit more open to the freedoms of freedom of the press, freedom of religion. We're talking more about freedom on our side of the aisle now than the left is.
Yeah.
And the left is about how do we contain and control people, and we're more about, hey, how do we open things up, let people do what they want to do. and still maintain a society.
Yep. So, quick question: did you know that they are doing a change of venue for the Kentucky prosecutors are asking for a change of venue in Letcher County for the judge shooting that sheriff that came in and shot the judge?
I had heard that.
Mickey Steins.
Mickey Steins was the sheriff, I believe.
Former Letcher County sheriff.
What was the governor or the judge's name there? That's a sad case. If you all haven't seen some of the videos and stuff on YouTube that's covering this, go out and check some of this out.
It's Judge Kevin Mullins on September 9th.
Mullins,
it's at Mullins Chambers. The shooting and the minutes before. It was captured on a video.
Yeah, the video. He walks in. He says something to him. He pulls his gun out and he's aiming it at him. And this is all about a giant sex ring that was going on there, where they were allegedly the judge, the jailer, some other, maybe some deputies and things. They were having like these supposedly having sex parties with some of the inmates, and they were keeping people, these ladies, in a perpetual. They were keeping them in a perpetual, state of flux between jail and home, and giving if you do these things for me or to me or with me and my friends, then I will I'll give you a lighter sentence and blah blah blah. But as soon as they tried to escape that, they would find a new charge or something to keep them in the loop.
Wow.
Supposedly, I mean that's all needs to come out, but that's what it's about. I mean that's what it's coming down to.
The video here is very long. You can find it anywhere on the internet, and it literally just goes from a group full of people to the shooting. I mean, they have all the evidence they need to see for him.
We know he's guilty of doing it. It's going to come down to the why he did it. Some people are speculating that he did it because Mr. Steins did this because he was. It's like they were trying to put it on him, and he was like, "No, this was coming out. Is what happened, right?" And so he was like, there was this group of people.
It's almost like a Walking Tall movie.
It really is.
Wow.
It really is. I mean, that's a good example. For those people that were dating ourselves a little bit from when we're talking back in the 1970s, early 80s.
Well, they came out with the newer one.
The newer ones are out there with The Rock and everything, but the older ones, this is probably a little bit closer to the older ones because the newer ones are a little bit more fantasized, but this was about real situations that were happening, years ago. But come to find out, it's still happening in some of these, rural areas.
They just need some Jesus.
They do need some Jesus.
Well,
absolutely need some Jesus.
And I get
and that's part of the problem too. Not part of the problem. That's the reason this is coming, and part of the reason this is coming out is because some of these ladies have gotten off the drugs. They've gotten into, they've gotten Jesus,
and their testimony,
and they're starting to talk about it.
Sure.
And people are listening.
Well, and not to go into trade international news, but they had great coverage about that from the it's the House today. The Speaker of the House came on the news this morning, was actually speaking to reporters about the testimonies of the girls in the Epstein case, and the more of them, and some of them just telling their stories for the first time because they've been too scared to because of the stuff. But I don't know, but in the national news as of late, there's a whole lot of evidence coming out that's showing a whole lot of dirty in our whole, which everybody knows, right? We all walk around. Well, we all know they're dirty, but we'll vote for them anyway. You know what I mean? I've met some really great politicians, and I've always had my eyebrow raised at others, and you do that, right? Because you expect them. But man, I'm telling you,
I mean, right now, both sides, because of the anonymity of this, or the lack of knowledge about the lists and things like that, both sides are have utilized this case to try to tarnish the other side, to say, oh, he's on the list.
Sure.
A list of what? Right? I mean, just because he had somebody in your contacts.
For a photo op,
and Epstein was there for a photo op. That wasn't like they were trying to use their power and prestige to get in with the in crowd, and they were trying to get people. So whether it was Bill Clinton or Donald Trump or whoever, they were leeching on and latching on to these people trying to get into the circles.
Well, Comer came on that same newscast. That's why it's related to Kentucky, and this as we wrap it up. But Comer came on and said that there are a lot of those officials that they've got subpoenas for, and they're getting them scheduled to come in the coming weeks. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. To your point, hey, look, yes, billionaires always invite politicians. Politicians show up everywhere.
Yeah, money and power tend to dive in together.
Now, whether you walk through the door of the devil, those are facts that need to be unfolded. We're not going to speculate here. But
I'll say this: if any one of those people ever saw something that they should have said something,
and they didn't do it,
they should, and they didn't do anything about it. I don't care who you are,
you're gone.
You need to be gone.
Yeah.
Right. Don't
care what your policy
is. If you had knowledge that this was going on with these young ladies, and whether you knew that they were whether you even knew that they were of legal age or not, there was some stuff going on.
So my final question for you, Mark, do you think that he was based on there's a lot of data about him and Jerusalem and that whole region of the country and stuff as potentially being a spy. And using all of this other stuff based on his money and resources. Did you ever
talking about Epstein?
Epstein. Did you ever?
So I think that Epstein was using. I think Epstein was using it for blackmail. He was trying to get people to blackmail them. He had his own fetishes and things that drove this behavior. But I think he tried to pull people into that behavior and then use that to gain gain more power and control.
To me, it's
over
all
them.
espionage. I honestly think.
Well, whether it's country to country espionage or if it's political espionage or if it's whatever it is. I mean, it was all underhanded.
In a game of chess with physical players, the queen got killed. Bottom line. But the king is still in play.
I've got one more subject.
Go ahead.
If we got just to take a couple minutes. So here recently, there's been a lot of talk out of Alberta, Canada, Saskatchewan, and British Columbia, and now I heard the Yukon region of Canada. So Alberta is driving a referendum that could come up in the next election or something like that to become independent away from Canada.
What?
So, and it looks like Saskatchewan is right now. They're talking about there's 45% of the people right now would vote to leave Canada, and then so in Alberta there's 33% people who said they would leave, and another 33% ish that are saying that they're leaning towards voting to leave.
In Canada, those are territories, right?
Yeah. So Alberta is they're provinces. So you have the Alberta provinces where all the oil is and those natural resources. I just do some looking at it the next couple of weeks, next week or so. Maybe we'll have another discussion on this. But it's interesting because we talked about the 51st state and blah blah blah.
Well, I know beginning Friday, Premier Danielle Smith's United Conservative Government is officially lowering the required threshold for citizens to initiate a provinces, not territories.
Province, yeah.
Yeah, province-wide referendum, including on separation.
Yes.
So that referendum, and it supposedly takes place this Friday. So that means they're
lowering the threshold. It was like they had to have 600,000 signatures before. Now it's going to be like 150,000 or 200,000 or something like that.
If that were true, then they could. Do you think that they would want to join the United States? That would be funny, right between Alaska and the Yukon. Because
that's the question that would bring up. They want to secede from Canada. They want to separate from Canada. The thing is would the United States bring them in? That's another question. They would possibly want to try to stay independent. They are a very oil-rich region, they've been suffocated by Ottawa, which is the capital. Canada is really run a lot like what you see in the Hunger Games, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's like
I
you
gotcha.
have the capital,
Yeah,
all the riches and
Yeah.
all the foods and stuff are coming into
that.
the capital.
I get that.
And then the other outreaching areas are paying the bills, right? They're bringing all the. If you think about it, it's the way it is. I mean, there was a guy I saw a YouTube video. Again, this is YouTube. This is people. You know, they show. They said that the average Albertan is paying about $6,000 or $6,500
Sure.
in taxes or whatever, and money going out to. I guess it's $6,000 plus dollars going out to Ottawa. And they're only pulling in something like $3,000 or like $4,000 back in for roads and things like that. And then over in the capital, it's like I think it's like $2,000 or $3,000 going pulling from the average person, the average per person being pulled into the government, and they're taking like $9,000 out.
Wow.
And so it's like if that's true, that's Hunger Games type stuff right there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I got it.
So anyway,
Sharpen your arrows.
I would be interested to hear from who was that lady that came down here? Katie, Kate? Is it Kate or Katie that came down from the CBC to talk about that?
Gotcha. Yeah,
I'd be interested to hear what
DC.
she's saying about that.
I've got to follow up with her this week because when I go to DC in October, I got to catch up with her. But anyway, my brother from another mother.
Hey, man.
It's another week's show. Top news in Kentucky, right here at Kentucky Talks Podcast, right here from your hometown, Brandenburg and Meade County. All the news that's in news across the state of Kentucky.
That's right.
The Commonwealth.
Hey, this is a conversation about anything and everything
In Kentucky.
Let us know what you want to talk about. See you
Take
next
care.
time.